Hey guys, Pete Nelson here, founder of Sisu. We're going to take you through the Charlie Cabin walkthrough video today. I'll be helping narrate and shoot, as well as Paul Wolf, our customer experience manager, and we're going to take you through step by step how to build a Charlie Cabin sauna.
All right, so first we got our base cradles. We're going to have 3 of those. We'll talk about that in a little bit. This is our floor for the Charlie. It's going to go right on top. You're going to have your Charlie kit, 2 vent covers, 1.5 inch, 1.25 inch, 2.5, 2. All your nails, we'll talk about those as we go. These are our 3 panels for the rear wall, 2 braces for the rear wall. We have our front wall, which is a window and the door is underneath. We have a brace for the front wall. We have our top and bottom radius staves. You got your 4 sidewall panels, all marked. Right bottom, these are bench supports. We have our roof staves. And notice there's a finisher pack you'll use at the end. We'll go through that as well. We have our roof boards, 2 different sizes. A 6-inch wide and a 4-inch. Got our roofing material, got our benches, got our legs for the benches, for the floor, wire covers, and our front and rear trim.
So an important part of the build is making sure that you have the right amount of people. 3 people is what we recommend. You can do it with 2, but 3 is most optimal.
Real easy, your bases are down. They're 30 inches on center. The most important thing is going to be to line this floor up with the pre-drilled holes onto the cradles. Let's bring the floor over. Notice we got our pre-drilled holes lined up with these support blocks.
A super important part to building your sauna is making sure that the base is level and flat. So what I mean by that is, if you are putting the sauna on crushed rock, stone, whatever it is, make sure that it is level both forward and back, and that the cradles are symmetrical to one another. Another important part here to keep in mind is that the base should never be on grass, dirt, or mulch. It always should be on rock, turf, concrete, or even pavers.
All right, we have our floor in place. We're all screwed down to our cradles. We're going to remove these alignment blocks from each cradle. And we're also going to remove these front support blocks from our floor. Okay, so we're getting ready to set up our rear wall. What I've done is I put a couple of the radius staves down to create some horses. I have 3 wall panels. This is our lower panel, because we're going to match this blue tape up, that center line, with the blue tape on the floor. So we're going to remove these splines. We're going to insert it into this hole, and we'll lay it down and insert it into this receiving slot there. Fits perfect.
So now you're going to repeat this on the middle wall panel. So remove the tape, and then you're going to take this spline and insert it back into the slot.
Okay, we have our splines in place. We're just going to slide these walls together, nice and easy. You'll notice that we matched up the A's, and we have on the lower panel matching up the letter B. And this is going to slide together. We're just going to line it all up. Okay, we got our 3 rear wall panels in place. We have our braces that we picked up from our supply. We have these braces set at 12 inches from the edge of the wall. And they start at the first panel, run all the way up to the top board. We are going to use 1.25 inch screws, and we're going to screw into every single board, soft enough to go right through, all the way down. We've set our completed rear wall in place. We lined up our center marks, and we are going to remove these side cleats. All right, now we're going to put our front wall panels into place. I have my door here. It's actually upside down. I got my left window. Notice that we have the center mark face up, so that when we stand this panel, it's going to go right into the receiving slot. We have matched up our top A, And when we slide this together, we're going to get these 4-inch screws and join the two pieces together after we insert the tongue into the groove. All right, I'm gonna have my assistant Joe hold these panels together as I screw this joint.
Hear that? That's what power sounds like, Paul.
All right, are we in that groove?
Doors coming out.
So as you're standing up this wall panel, it's important that you just did it exactly like Paul did. So stand by lifting from the top of the sauna into the slot.
Okay, now I'm going to take 2 of our roof staves. You'll notice that they have a groove in each end. We're going to use them as temporary supports. One on the side. And we're just going to secure those. I'm going to use 2-inch screws. 2.5 would be fine. Okay, to really pull this wall together and add some stability, we're going to be using 3 structural screws. Comes with this spider bit, will be in your kit. Just going to insert it into my impact. There's 3 pre-drilled holes. The key is to keep this very straight as you're going in. I start slowly, guiding the screw in. Pulled that together very tight. Move on to the next step, which is going to be our radius staves. I like to put this vent into this floor now so that you can reach it easily. It's just going to pop in there nice and easy. All right, now we're getting ready to build our lower radius stave. So we're going to come around this corner and we have these smaller sections. They are marked left bottom corner here. We're going to be using our 2-inch and 3-inch screws. The 2-inch screws are going to be on the outer edges, and our 3-inch screws are going to be into the pre-drilled holes into the center. All right, so my first radius stave, I'm just going to line it up into that front wall and rear wall. Slide it in. This is where your mallet can come in handy. Make sure you got nice and tight all the way down. I'm going to use my 2-inch screw on the end. I'm going to go right down in the face, right into the cradle. Got my 3-inch screw for the first center. Don't be afraid to drive it in a little bit. Now for our second stave, same process of connecting to the wall. Now this one's going to move up a little bit. I'm going to tap it in, make sure I'm tight to the stave prior. Now this screw is going to go up from underneath into the front wall. That's a 2-inch screw. And you will have a little space here. Back to the 3-inch for the center. And my final 2-inch underneath.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay, we're ready to put our lower side panel in, our first side panel. They are labeled. Left side bottom. Here's your labeling for your spline. We're going to pull that spline off, set it into this top groove. Got our lower panel in place. We're going to use 2-inch screws into each pre-drilled hole to connect the wall, the side wall to the front wall. Okay, got my lower wall in place. I'm going to remove my front support cleat.
Well, we've got the left side installed as well as now the right side. Remember, each of these take a 2-inch screw, and then these braces come off after it's in place.
We got our lower wall into place. We are ready to go with our left side top wall. So what we're going to do is lift this a little bit higher so that we can clear this this spline here, and then we're going to slide it down right on top of that spline. 2-inch screws into each pre-drilled hole. Okay, we're getting ready to install our upper bench and our lower bench. These are our side supports. We're going to place our benches on here. We're going to use a level, make sure it's level, make sure it's visually appealing to you. These are adjustable, so if you need a little more headroom, feel free to pull these screws and lower these side supports to wherever you feel you need them. So that's an option for you for if you're really tall and you want a little more headroom. Okay, we've got our bench level. Just wanted to point something out that the bench, you're going to have some gaps on either side. It's made that way so that you don't scratch up your walls when you're trying to get this bench in. I like to center it and even out the gap on either side and then attach it to the back wall with our screw holes here.
Make sure you use 2.5-inch screws into the back wall, every single hole.
Okay, so you're going to want to repeat the same process that we did for the top bench. Okay, reminder, same thing on the lower bench. We have room on each side so that you don't scratch up your walls when you're putting your bench in. Okay, so your bench supports were pre-wrapped together. I separated them. We have 2 pocket screws in the lower end. And then the upper end, we have 2 pre-drilled holes that'll come into the face of the bench. We have our pocket screws here, and these are for the face of the bench. Okay, we brought in our top bench support. We lined up with this support that is attached to the bench itself. So you're going to have your leg here. We got 2 screws attached to the 2x4 under the bench, and we have 2 screws. The pocket screws are going to go into the floor. Okay, so I got my lower support ready to go in. I'm just going to slide it in. And it's going to sit right up against that same support. Okay, so we're ready to put our roof staves on. We're going to start with this temporary support that we had up earlier. We're just going to tap it over or raise it up, move it over to our radius staves. Continue on these together. These do not get screwed at this point. Now we're going to begin with our finishing staves. Okay, we are ready to finish our roof with our finishing staves. So this is our finisher pack here. It's labeled separately from the other roof staves. So this is actually a spare full roof stave. We're going to set that to the side. In our finishing pack, we have various sizes of staves. We have some smaller staves, some half staves, quarter staves. Okay, so here's an example. We tried a different combination. This peak is too high. We want to have something a little bit lower so that we can pound it down into place. So we're going to try some of our other pieces and get it to fit tight. In that first example, our peak was too high, so we're going to remove a full stave. Now this was one of the extra staves that we had, so it's fully acceptable to remove that, and we're going to try some of our other combinations. See what we come up with. That looks about right. We're going to see what happens here. Don't be afraid to use your mallet. Might take a little force. That's perfect. All right, now we're ready to screw our roof down. We're going to use 2-inch screws. Our regular staves do have the pre-drilled holes. Our finisher staves do not. It's really soft wood. Screw it right in. Okay, we're ready to install our roof kit. We have our underlayment, which is ice and water shield. That's going to go on first. We do have our different size roof jigs. I got my wide roof boards ready, and I got some thin roof boards ready. And I am going to measure from this bottom of the first radius stave and come down 17 inches. Mark my wall there, 17 inches. That's going to be the location of our first wide roof board. We're going to go ahead and get our underlayment on right now. So we have our first piece of underlayment on. We're going to make sure that we're all the way to this front edge with tar paper, not this paper. So we want to touch the front edge. And we should be about even with that first radius stave, give or take. With that in place, you peel back. You're going to be real careful with this because when it sticks, it sticks. especially when you have it in the sun. So it's a great idea to store this in the shade until you're ready to use it. Protective film off. We're ready for our second sheet. We're going to pull this in line. Again, we're going to line up to the back. We have overlap here in the middle. We got some nice sunshine today to make it stick. No bubbles at all. This is what's going to provide the drainage for keep the water out of the sauna. With 3 wide roof boards, and we're going to line up to our 17-inch mark and right to the front edge of the sauna. And I'm going to use anywhere between 5 and 8 nails here. You're going to want to go in a zigzag pattern. Okay, for our second board, this is where your larger roof jig's going to come in handy. Just going to line up to the bottom of the first board. Let that second board rest on top. We're even on our front wall, and we're going to nail in the same fashion. Okay, with our 3 wide roof boards in place, something to note, we made sure that you cover your tar paper with your third roof board before proceeding. Now we're going to move on to the thin roof boards, which are going to cover the radius. Now for the first one, we're going to stick with this large jig to keep that same reveal. I'm going to nail that in the same way. So get ready for our second thin roof board. Now we're going to move to our smaller jig. We'll line that up with the front wall. Let that rest. You'll have a total of 5 thin roof boards that cover this radius before we move on to the wider roof boards for the top. Okay, we have our 5 corner roof boards on. We're going to move back to the wide roof boards, but for the first one, we're going to stick with our smaller jig to keep that same reveal. And then for each subsequent board, we're going to go back to the big jig. Okay, now we're back to our larger roof jig. Okay, like we did on the left side, on the right side, we're going to measure 17 inches from the bottom of the first radius stave, and that's going to be the bottom of our first roof board.
So that same process that you did on the left side, you're going to do now on that right side.
All right, so we have the majority of the roof kit attached. When you get to this point, you got a little bit showing. We're just going to cover that and center it with 1 wide roof board right down the middle. And we'll be complete.
The roof boards, yes, they do shed water and it will absorb water. It's that underlayment that you put in that first step that is the most important part of your roof kit.
Okay, so we're getting ready to put some final trim pieces around the front of the sauna. It's really going to dress this up. You'll notice that we have some curved pieces. There's a nice finished side, sanded side, and there's a rough side. So obviously we want that rough side towards the back. Basically, we're going to be lining this up here. We're going to be adding a straight piece and adding an additional curved piece on the other side. Okay, so with the help of my friends, we have this in place. Some things that I look for is I like to make sure I'm high enough to cover the edges of the roof board so you can't see those. I have a small gap here, and we kind of dry fit it to make sure everything looks good. It's going to take some trial and error. But we're going to go ahead and nail this in. Let's make sure this is going to fit. Okay, so what I did is went around and tacked it down lightly so that if I did need to make an adjustment, I don't have to pull out a bunch of nails. So now I'm going to go in and add maybe 2 to 3 around the sauna to finish, just to hold this in place. All right, final step is going to be repeat the same process in the rear of the sauna. Okay, we're going to go inside and install our backrest. I have 3 screws attached to the back of the backrest that we're going to use to screw this to the wall. Okay, I have my backrest in place. I'm going to want to raise this off of the bench, somewhere comfortable for me. Generally, I start with, these are our wire trim covers. I'm going to use these as a spacer. So I'm just going to set that underneath my bench, my backrest rather. Now you can adjust this as high as and low as you like. This is our general starting point. And I'm going to use my 3 screws, 1 in each end to attach to the rear wall. I'm going to remove my spacer. All done. All right, last thing I do when I'm coming out of the sauna, I just go ahead and peel all my stickers off before I leave. Pull my tape off. Our final touches, go ahead and give your glass a nice wipe down.